going to be your shoutcasting host, and joining me once again is Phil, the Thrill, the Honcast staff, and this is the GosuGamers main event losers bracket World Cup finals. We have SK Gaming taking on EG, and I kind of laughed there for a second because it's unbelievable how awesome this series has been. We are tied obviously at one game apiece, now being in game 3, the decisive game. Just in this matchup alone, there's a $2,000 difference between these two teams. Obviously, you lose this, you finish third, you get yourself $3,000. You win this, you'll be playing Fnatic MSI in the grand finals with a chance to compete for up to $10,000, guaranteeing yourselves at least $5,000. $1,000 for each player, not too shabby. So definitely this should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it, of course. And we'll go ready to get kicked off into it. Despite it being late over here in the States, early morning in the European section, we still have over 4,500 plus viewers, and it's been a lot of fun so far. But first things first, how you doing, Phil?
It's 4 a.m., brother. That's all I got to say. 4 a.m. And we're still casting. This series has been phenomenal thus far. The first game was it was just a real solid game where SK made some mistakes and allowed Sandwraith to get farmed up, and that was really what cost them the match. The second game, two teams, like I said, they evenly matched teams. They picked very similarly, made very good decisions, and really SK just ended up, they outplayed EG in the end. I think that's really what it comes down to, is they just outplayed EG at the end. They made smarter choices. They got the proper items, proper amount of farm and the heroes they needed to be on, and they just overall did a really, really great job. Both teams saving for buybacks, and what turned out to, what looked like was going to be just a kind of a one-sided game in the favor of EG turned out to be just an epic buyback after buyback, and kind of both teams whittling away at each other, and really just a totally amazing game. So we're here for game 3, and if it's anything like game 2, I might as well not sleep.
It's so true. I mean, obviously last game, the first game was around an hour long. The second game, an 80-minute game, or actually, yeah, around an 80-minute game. There was no rack skill for either team past the hour mark. I mean, that's just what the F. I mean, that's just no other way to put it. Like, how does that happen? But, it was such a great game, and if you didn't get this, if you somehow missed it, of course, when it's up on VOD, definitely check it out. You absolutely have to, as well as this whole series. I'm sure it's going to be a great game 3 to finish. I can't see it going any other way. So much is on the line, and time is not even a factor right now for either one of these teams. I guarantee you, they're just completely focused on the tasks because there's so much on the line. Nothing else matters in the world right now. So, anyways, we are in the picking stage, of course, so let's talk about the bans. As far as the bans are concerned, we got Slither, Sandwraith, Flint Beastwood, Dr. Repulsor, Bombardier, Bubbles, Thunderbringer, and Pebbles. A couple of noticeable non-bans here, specifically Pharaoh, who, of course, was first picked, actually, by SK Gaming, and Dampier was not banned. I'm really curious to see if he is picked up this game. I would love to see him. He was banned both of the initial 2 games. I mean, with that thought process, kind of maybe leads you to believe that he might be picked up, but, we'll have to wait and see. I would love to see him, especially in such a game like this. We'll have to wait and see how it goes on. But as far as the bans are concerned, of course, leaving the Pharaoh open, very popular, especially between these two teams. They both love him, but he gets in SK Gaming's hand, a very powerful hero. But yeah, I believe that's the only other non-ban that's... Yeah, pretty much. So we've pretty much seen all the others banned. Hellbringer was another one that has been banned, but of course picked up here. But anyways, yeah, your thoughts on the bans here, Phil?
Well, I mean, somebody mentioned it in IRC, and Thunderbringer, they said Thunderbringer is definitely insta-ban next game around, and, he had over 100,000 hero damage at the end of the last game. That's huge. I mean, you talk about heroes that can put out that much damage, over the course of an 80-minute game. There's just not that many that can nearly match that much. So, no big surprises with him being banned. And then Bubbles was really, Tralfamador on Bubbles, he alone as the player and with that hero single-handedly, in my opinion, turned that game around and really extended the lifetime that SK had in the game long enough for Angry Testy to really begin to take off. And obviously, it is a team game, but you have to really recognize the individual efforts at times. And Tralfamador definitely deserves credit for that second game. He has done so well in the first 2 games of the series, and we'll have to see what he does in this game. But as far as the bans are concerned, there's really nothing else that just kind of sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, Slither being banned all 3 games, he is very powerful, and banned all 3 games as a result. So, but the picks are actually wrapping up here, so let's talk about the picks, of course. There's only 1 pick left. We still don't have Dampier. Something tells me probably not going to see him anymore with that last pickup, but there are a couple of intriguing pickups to talk about, as always. So we'll actually start with SK Gaming, since EG has about a minute left before they need to finish. So SK Gaming, they got all their 5 ready. We got Soul Stealer, Behemoth, Pharaoh, Witchslayer, and Swiftblade. They got a very powerful Behemoth Soul Stealer combination. Obviously, Behemoth is an excellent hero for setting up Soul Stealer ultimates. As long as they both get those portal keys. We got Pharaoh, who's by all means very good himself, as we talked about it pretty much from the very beginning. He was banned the first 2 games, but first picked here by SK Gaming as a result of not being banned. And then the Witchslayer to pair up with to pair up with Swiftblade as well. Swiftblade is very popular amongst these teams as well, especially SK Gaming. They do love to play him, more so in the American scene than the European scene, but he is very, very powerful with that said, and you would expect to try lane now, once again, Behemoth, Witchslayer, and Swiftblade, obviously Soul Stealer middle, and Pharaoh in the long lane if that's how they choose to do it. So yeah, they definitely got the strong lane potential, very good setup, and they got a couple of carries in there with Soul Stealer and Swiftblade. Looking forward to seeing this Legion team play. SK Gaming, how you liking them, Phil?
Well, the Swiftblade, the fact that they picked him in their last set, really shows that they wanted to wait as long as possible before they decided to really commit to that hero. He's a hero that is very, very powerful early on in the game. In my opinion, what you would consider probably a soft carry, where he does have obviously the critical strike, which gives him the scaling capabilities as well as counterattack. I mean, they're both scaling capabilities, but he really is super item dependent past the mid game point. So they're going to have to make sure that he gets a really solid amount of farm, but he's also a hero that you don't just leave sitting at the bottom lane for 55 minutes getting creep score up. He's somebody who can really contribute to those team fights early on, as well as just solo ganking or setting up team games, team ganks, stuff like that. So he's a very solid hero all around, and we saw him run quite a bit. If you look back like 6 months ago, he was really like a flavor of the month type hero. He was always in every single game. But we'll have to see how they plan to run him here. I'm expecting they're going to try to run him in the tri lane here. Something that's important to note is we're not seeing any of the heroes that you might normally think to see with a Swiftblade. You normally think to see like maybe a Slither or a Glacius, Plague Rider, something that has like a slowing type of move to really get him in position to get as much the damage from his spin-off as possible. But they're going to choose to run the Behemoth and Witchslayer with him, and I think that's going to end up being still pretty productive for him. We'll just have to see how it turns out. Meanwhile, they're going to rely on Angry Testy playing Soul Stealer. It's been a long time since I've seen Angry Testy play Soul Stealer, actually, probably since the days of 5 and in Check 6.
I'm sorry, so, I have to mention this. Do you see what they're doing? They're feeding souls to Soul Stealer by using the Mummy Wall from Pharaoh. They're sitting in the base, the Mummy Wall goes up from Pharaoh, and they keep denying, and Soul Stealer keeps denying it to feed up a soul, so he has 2 souls now. This is wow. I've never seen that before. Never, ever seen that before, and that was just, holy crap. I was sitting there like, what the hell are they doing? But then it finally hit me. Of course, that's what he was doing. So he only got 2 souls. They did it like 5 times, and he only managed to get 2 souls, but whatever. So, hey, anything to give you a slight advantage. Obviously, nothing like that against the rules. Why not? Why not take advantage like that? And again, going up against a Defiler being played by Chu in the middle, he will need every advantage he can get, of course. Okay, so again, not to cut you off, but want to wrap up there with the Legion side?
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, then you took a look at Pharaoh, who is far and away first pick material. He's just a great utility hero, and when you talk about teams that are very, very coordinated, there's no one that you want on your team more than a very skilled Pharaoh player.
Yeah, I mean, in this matchup, again, both of these teams really love the hero. A lot of competitive teams still love the hero, so can't really say specifically for these guys. But yeah, if he's in the skilled hands, I mean, he can be a very, not obviously not a carry style here, not a takeover here in that sense, but I mean, if he gets those good ultimates off, some nice mummy walls in those team fights, where really scatters them, cause a lot of issues. But yeah, so that's the Legion team for you, a very sound team. The Swift play Trial Lance, see how that works out for them, which currently it's now just himself as they realize they were going 3 versus 1 against a lonely Hellbringer. So for the first time in the series, we are seeing a 3 versus 1 from both sides, unfortunately. So darn, no crazy action. Smackdown attempt on the Pharaoh to the top lane up here. Weedfield comes out, but not going to get anywhere close to hitting him. Of course, that mummy wall, that's what helps him, allow him to be an effective solo hero like he is right there, as he can get away in a lot of those cases. But yeah, this Defiler versus Soul Stealer matchup, as always, the middle matchup. Again, Angry Testy going up against Chu. We did see this game 1 where it was Chipper versus, what was Chu playing? Crap, I'm blanking. He was playing, I forget. Thunderbringer. No, he wasn't playing Thunderbringer.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Chu on the game 1.
Chu,
I know it was Chipper on
game 1
Testy.
was Wretched Hag.
That's right. God, could you forget that? Okay, so yeah, Wretched Hag on Chu. So yeah, but now we're seeing the matchup once again here: Defiler versus Soul Stealer. Soul Stealer, there goes the. I heard the noise go off. He canceled it, but then he used it again. But the Demon Head goes out, not enough for the kill though. So they go for an early gank, unsuccessful. However, Myrmidon is also here. Looks like the Hellborn team, they were looking to set up a gank themselves and running into Behemoth now, trying to maybe catch him in the jungle. He's going to get cut off on the other end by Andromeda. If they can get a stun out here, might be able to do something. There's a combo stun. There's a Wheatfield on top. Do they have enough damage now is a question. I don't believe they do, just between the two of them. Fidget's Stun going to turn around and use it. And going to activate that health potion. Combo stun, though, comes out. They might have enough. There's a Wheatfield to follow, and yes, they will. Bloodlust kill on a Cardinal, playing Behemoth right there. And EG, of course, after that great start. So already the support heroes for both teams starting to roam around. And it just so happens EG's comes out a little bit more successful as Yoda, who frankly had struggling both game 1 and 2, maybe latency issues, whatever the case. He was playing the pure support. Good bloodlust kill for him. Definitely a good ego booster.
Yeah, and that really happened because of ultimately a poor block by Cardinal there. I mean, if Defiler was trapped on the other side, that's an easy bloodlust kill there for Soul Stealer. Unfortunately, you make a mistake, and sometimes it costs you, and unfortunately, it costs him the bloodlust kill. So.
Yeah, that it does is, there we go with another pause. I'm guessing it's Yoda's ping as I'm looking right now. He's 115. No, it's actually not that bad. Anyways, so hopefully that gets figured out as soon as possible. It actually isn't him this time, according to him. Someone else has taken a break as Beak had crashed. Yeah, that would be a good reason. He is actually heading back to base, which is kind of unfortunate. So he's heading back to base right now. It's apparently people are doing to them what they were doing to us. GG. That's the Honk community for you, albeit a small amount. It's unfortunate. Anyways, so while we're waiting for you to get back in this game, actually, let's go over the Hellborn team. We haven't done that yet. So, as far as EG is concerned, we got Madman, Andromeda, Defiler, Hellbringer, and Myrmidon. Now, I've touched on Defiler a little bit against you. He's been playing this hero a lot more, ever since the DYA, really. He's been playing Defiler quite a bit. He played a couple times in DYA event, was very powerful with it. The interesting thing is, because we actually saw several, in fact, all the Southeast Asian teams were using Defiler quite a bit in their strategies, as they love the hero. I mean, she used to be a very, very popular hero pickup back in the days pre-Trial Lane, when tower pushing / turtling was the strategy to go with. She was very popular, of course, for that, but ever since, the metagame kind of shifted, the gym people like to use the metagame, went to that tri-lane strategy and everything, kind of went away from that. So Defiler, we haven't seen nearly as much, really, if at all, but Chu has definitely been using her lately, and as expected, been pretty powerful. She gets a Storm Spirit, definitely a popular early item on her, allowing her to activate her ultimate, and then put herself in the air while the ultimate still does damage. Of course, the pick up an Invis can do the same thing. So it is always a lot of fun. However, with that said, there are a lot of cases, and from watching the Defiler games with being played by Chu, it comes down to he needs to have that ultimate for those team fights. If he doesn't have the ultimate in team fights, definitely seen it hurt EG a lot. So as long as he has that ultimate for those team fights, they should be in a good manner. But overall, a very sound team. They got a lot of AoE with that set with Hellbringer as well. And then they're going to go with the Madman style carry, who is playing the trial end, being played by B-Kid here, and going to see what kind of farm they can get on him. So how about your thoughts on the Hellborn team, though, Phil?
Yeah. Well, Defiler is definitely a hero that is strong in her own rights, and with the proper amount of farm is a very, very, very difficult hero to kill as the game progresses. So if Chu is able to really get her farmed up, then she could definitely be he can definitely be very successful with the hero. Unfortunately, I believe the last time we saw her play, or saw him play Defiler was against Fnatic MSI, and it came off very, very poorly, as they were pretty much waxed by Fnatic MSI the last few times that they've met up against them. But it's obviously, I don't want to discredit SK and say that they're a bad team, because by all means they're not. I mean, we just saw last game, in the first two games actually, that they're definitely here to play hard. But Defiler is definitely still a very effective hero. You combine that with you've mentioned the Hellbringer ultimate, just the overall CC ability that both Myrmidon and Andromeda bring, and the hard carry potential of Madman. They just have a very good all-around team that has some push potential and has some late game potential as well. So they just have a very solid all-around team. Well, I mean, it really comes down to how they play their heroes, and just looking at the two teams right now, I want to give the favor to SK Gaming because I think they have the stronger heroes. But if Madman gets properly farmed up, it's going to be difficult to say whether or not he's a more powerful carrier than Swiftblade, because I definitely think that he is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a back and forth. No, but Madman is definitely one of those heroes. I mean, you activate his ultimate, obviously his third ability, the built-in crit that he has, which he picks up later on, of course, as gets into those teen areas in terms of levels. He can hit pretty damn hard and pretty damn fast. So you combine that when he has something like a shrunken head, allowing him to move in and out of those team fights with those first two abilities, of course. He is very good for those early ganks, but so is Swiftblade. So, kind of similarities in that sense. Both are very good heroes for those early ganks, early kills, and can be somewhat involved in those team fights. Of course, the ultimate from Swiftblade, and then just in general with the two first abilities from Madman allow him to do so. So B-Kid has connected. We are still trying to get that problem figured out real quickly.
It's Yoda now. Apparently he got spammed too, and he timed out. So
gotta love it. Well,
I love the Han community. Such a mature.
I know, right? I love.
The thing is, they had a thread on the forums about people were posting, and the average Han gamer was 22. All the 1,000 people that replied.
I saw that.
22. So, if you're a 22-year-old dude who has nothing better to do than sit around and spam players while they're in a competitive match, well, I'm not gonna. This isn't the Honcast stream, so I'm not even gonna get on it. But I'm just saying, it's pretty lame.
It happens. Well, nonetheless, the game is on. We all figured out how to get around it for now. So let the game continue. We do have a gank beat set up here at the top lane. Pharaoh in some trouble. The Wayfield not going to hit, though. Kind of mistimed it a little bit. But Madman's going to come in right here. Not going to chase him, though. Not worth it. He's just a little bit too tanky. He does have a Ring of the Teacher already, so... Yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate. B-Kid, obviously, he did disconnect as a result of whatever happened. Like they were talking about, he missed out on 4 or 5 creep kills, and in turn, helped Pharaoh perhaps get a little bit more himself as a result of, I believe, Myrmidon and Andromeda were roaming early on. So, anyways, but what's done is done, so the game moves on. But yeah, that Ring of the Teacher definitely will help Pharaoh, of course, with the mana regeneration, damage, and the early armor buff. Blood Chalice already picked up the one Madman, so going to be able to use that to spam and get those creep kills in there. We have yet another pause. Don't tell me it's Yoda again. Nope, not Yoda this time. But I'm sure we'll figure out as soon as possible. I don't see anyone running back to base. For how epic these this series has really been. I mean, it's unfortunate that we've had so many issues between the whole spams to the. In game 1, we had 6 pauses because Yoda just kept disconnecting. Game 2 is obviously just spam, 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 and now game 3, it's we have a mix of spamming the players and getting them disconnected and having to pause. So, oh man, talk about a 3-game series lasting forever. My recording has now been going for nearly 4 hours, and I pretty much started like right before the first game. So. Yeah, this is going to take quite a while.
We've been live since 12:10 our time or my time. So, and it is I don't know. Okay, it's currently 4:11. So, 4 hours and 1 minute is how long we've been casting, or at least on the air. Well worth it though for a series like this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no doubt. This is, by all means, every bit worth catching this game, or this series. I mean, no matter what time it happens to be happening at. And, of course, the VODs will be up for all those that couldn't stay up, or it's too early, or it's too late. They will be up as soon as I get through editing that, and I'll definitely look to put it up tomorrow, because, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to go through all that tonight, but get that up as soon as possible, because I know people, of course, are going to be wanting it. Can you take care of our vent, by the way? I don't know what's going on, but
yep,
something's happening. Just everyone's having fun today. All right. But yeah, so again, if you do happen to just be tuning in, this is Game 3 here of the GosuGamers losers bracket finals. It's pretty much, this is a third place match. The loser of this will finish third place in the grand final in the tournament overall, where they'll get $3,000. The winner will then play Fnatic MSI in the grand finals, to be announced when that's going to be happening. Whether it's this weekend, next weekend, I don't know. No one knows yet, I don't think. But of course, they'll get on top of scheduling that once they know who the opponent is. But the winner of this will play MSI, where they'll have a chance to compete for $10,000 first place prize and $5,000 for second place. I did want to make a note as well. What was I going to say? Holy crap, I did just totally blank right there. Anyways, okay, well, yeah, so that's the prize split up for the top 3 teams. What's been a 64-team main event, going all the way back to 200-plus teams, I believe, if you go all the way back to the preliminaries. It's been a lot of fun. 6 months later, we finally have the near end of the tournament. And it is very entertaining, and it's setting up for a great finals, of course. But now we must wait for this game to resume, as Chu is reconnecting back in. Yeah, they're saying ready. Yay, looks like we might... Nope, they're saying don't pause, hold on. SK's not ready yet. We're 4.5 minutes into this game. Cardinal mentioning he had to work at 9 a.m. I thought he was Eastern, but he's Pacific, so he's fine. He still has 8 hours from now, so he'll get about 6 hours of sleep. All right, so we have finally resumed. There we go. All right, let's do this. Whew. Man, those pauses are exhausting. Just one of the things to talk about, unfortunately. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Now I remember. What I was going to say about the finals, the grand finals, MSI versus the winner of this. MSI will already be up 1-0. Again, if you're unsure of how double elimination works, like, oh, that's unfair. That's how double elimination works. And when you really think about it, it makes complete sense. Basically, MSI, they will be up 1-0 simply because they are coming from the winner's bracket, and they have not lost a series throughout the whole tournament, whereas both SK and EG, of course, have, or else they wouldn't even be here in the first place. So that's basically what it comes down to, so that's something to keep in mind. Whether or not they may plan to make it a 5-game series or a 3-game, I don't know. Well, we'll get details on that when it does happen. But nonetheless, who cares about that right now? We are at this game, of course, and how epic it is going to be because of the first 2 games. It just cannot not be epic, if that makes any sense. So, look at some stats. Solskjaer's currently level 6. He just hit level 6, in fact. Got delivered his boots. And got a bottle recharge right there, kind of roaming around. Oh, might not want to roam too far, though. He's actually running into Andromeda and Myrmidon. But it's going to end up being fine as they do not initiate. But Solskjaer has a pocket support of his own with a Behemoth nearby. And Behemoth is now looking up to set up a stun perhaps on Defiler, but this could get dangerous. Can Solskjaer get over there to set up a couple of Demon Hand nukes? He's kind of running out in front. Nothing going to happen, though. So the support players for both teams, ever since they saw the 3 versus 1 for both sides, they've been doing a really good job. Both teams, they've been doing a very good job of roaming around, setting up wards, and looking to set up kills and causing the harassment that they need to cause.
Yeah, we're going to see Defiler bottle up a rune down here at the bottom as Myrmidon was basically guarding it. Looking at the carries, though, who are farming, we see 43 and 14 for Swiftblade. Far and away the highest in the game right now. Currently sitting at 350 gold per minute. Not even using those hero kills. However, this is one of the things that a lot of people kind of debate on. We actually talked about it in a game earlier. Was when you're farming this well, when you're farming over 350 gold per minute already in the game, you're playing Swiftblade. What do you go for? Do you go for that Rune Axe? We've already has picked up Ghost Marchers. Do you go for that early Rune Axe and try to increase your farm even more, or do you go for something like a Frostburn, something that's going to give you not only some damage, but as well, but you're also going to get some survivability. And an important important aspect of Swiftblade is being able to survive in those team fights as well as put out the proper amount of damage. So we'll have to see what he goes for here. But neither pickup would really surprise me.
I personally like the idea of a Frostwolf Skull in terms of being planned for, because when you're going up against a hero like a Madman, he relies a lot on his attack speed, of course, from his Berserk ultimate. And if you get that Frostwolf Skull, of course, it slows down his attack speed. I believe it's 25-30%, and you're looking at a good amount of reduction right there. So I definitely would not be surprised, either him or Solskjaer, of course, if they look to go that maybe as soon as possible, if not eventually, of course, in the later game if it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, you definitely bring up a good point. We've said that in the past. If you are getting this great a farm, is it still worth getting that Runed Axe? We'll see what Travelmador decides to go for. Playing a Solskjaer, they're currently actually running all the way back to base. This is not what you want to have done, unfortunately. If you're a solo mid hero, of course, having to run all the way back to base, but with no mana or with no bottle charges, the rune being taken by the Hellborn side, I guess. And did they take it? I guess Defiler took it. There was an 8-minute rune. Somebody got it. I guess Defiler probably got it and already used it. But anyways, Solskjaer now ports back to the top lane, actually, and he's going to clean up a couple of creep farm or neutral creeps right here in the jungle and maybe set up a kill. I'm not sure what exactly his plan is. Maybe to set something up a Madman, but he's kind of pairing up with Pharaoh right here. Again, Pharaoh has actually done a fairly good job, albeit Hellborn support have been roaming quite a bit as Hellbringer gets taken out by Swiftblade right there at the bottom lane. Swiftblade just spun right on top of him after that Fissure stun, or Graveyard stun, came out and was able to pick up a kill. Didn't even need his ultimate, and yeah, Travelmador, he is just having a phenomenal. He's nearing the 400 gold per minute mark, especially after that hero coming. Already 62 creep kills. That's just amazing. It's said that 50 creep kills every 10 minutes, so 100 every 20 is a very good standard. Right now, he's well beyond that. Of course, with 64, and we're only 9 minutes in, so he is doing very, very good, and it's dangerous. The Hellborn team, they no doubt have to be worrisome of him getting a very good farm like that.
Yeah, I mean, what has been down at the bottom, though, basically, Hellbringer came in a little bit too far, and, when he started to run away, he realized, well, I can't run too far, because if I run too far, Swiftblade throws his ult up and I die, so I'm just going to kind of stand here, try to take as much damage as possible, and maybe, peace out once spins halfway over, something like that, but Witchslayer was there to support, so overall, just a, kind of an overextension there from Dodo, and then good capitalization from Travelmador, and he just continues to pick up that really solid farm, picking up a life tube now. Surprised that he doesn't have more. I mean, with the amount of farm he's gotten, as far as, especially with all the just everything, he's just been doing a great job down at the bottom. Surprised all the gold spent in only a life tube.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting there. But by the way, in the middle lane, Pharaoh, actually, that's what makes Pharaoh useful, of course. Being level 6, is able to jump on a Defiler, help get a kill on him, but he does end up dying, of course, as the tower damage did quite a bit, and then Andromeda helped finish him off. Haystream going to be picked up by Hellbringer. But yeah, Swiftblade, he's got that life tube now with those Ghost Marchers kind of charging in right here. Thought about using the Omni Slash, but Swift Slashes, wow. But chose not to do so right there, and maybe it's just out of range completely, so decides to fall back to the lane, and now he's headed back towards the bottom lane, probably going to pick up a couple of jungle kills, as several of the stacks are triple stacked. And one right there, we got a double stack, no, that's a triple stack there, and yeah, so that's obviously Swiftblade, and that's what makes these teams, helps make these teams so great. I mean, little things like that, although it's like, whatever, it's just a couple more creep kills. No, it's huge. It adds up so significantly. Look at this, the Swift Slash is on top of Hellbringer, catching him away from the creep wave, and Hellbringer just did not have a chance. If anything, he probably should have ran towards the creep wave, hoping that he would pounce over to it, but in that case, he just really didn't have a chance. So the Swift Slash is followed by the spin. What are you going to do as a level 5 Hellbringer? Absolutely nothing. So good kill right there from Trafalmador. And, well, just helping that crazy gold farm of his. He's been sitting pretty much on that 400 gold per minute mark. And like you said, a little bit surprising, too, that he just has that life tube to go with Ghost Marches with the crazy farm that he's had. But he's spent... how much has he spent? He has spent 4,400, so yeah, it definitely doesn't add up. Obviously, he's saving up something in the stash. We'll have to wait and see what that turns out to be. But SK Gaming, they are off to a really good start here. I mean, Solstice having a confident farm in the middle lane. He's looking at 64 and 17 farm himself, which is pretty much on par with the Madman. But Defiler is actually out farming him in the middle at 84, 85 now, and 15 just goes up quickly right there. So Chu is also having a great farm. So yeah, I mean, been focusing on that Swiftblade quite a bit and thinking that SK is perhaps has a nice advantage as a result. The more you look at the Hellborn team, their pickups and their farm as well, maybe not so much, but still, I would still be worrisome if I was the Hellborn team, and always keep him in mind. Madman, on the other hand, however, is looking pretty good himself, and he's actually on his way to finishing his own Runed Axe, as he just picked up his Bastard Sword to go with the Sustainer already picked up. So just needs a Broadsword now, 1,200 more gold, and then he will have that Runed Axe. And that's, of course, where his farm will start to shoot up. But Fog's going to harass him as much as possible, just spamming that Mummy Walk, draining his mana, draining his life, and blocking him out a little bit. In fact, you see the level 2 Mummy Wall now, not choosing to get Hellfire, excuse me. He does have level 4 Tormented Soul, though, which, of course, he's again spamming. And now here comes Behemoth up here. Ooh, they're going to go for a kill attempt right now onto this Madman. This could get ugly for him if a nice Fissure Stun is landed. He's going to stock him right there. Oh, he just used his stock, and he's going to go try to run away now. And, ooh, it looks like he's going to be able to get out of there. So it happened to be a decent timing right there, and is able to run away. However, in the meantime, the middle lane being pushed in by Defiler, activating her ultimate. Again, what helps her make be such an effective hero. And we'll see if they can take it out. Hellbringer actually uses his ultimate on the creep wave. Wow. They really want this tower kill. I don't think they're going to get it. And to use a Hellbringer ultimate like that, I don't know what that thought process was there by Dota. Normally a very good Hellbringer player, but here we go. They're going to look at it, and this would have been a much better time for the Hellbringer ultimate. They do not have it, though. The silence comes out. Not going to matter. Pharaoh with an excellent Mummy Wall trap. Just nothing can do. Oh, but look at this Behemoth from behind. Comes in, uses his ultimate, avoids a couple of stunts right there, and just walks on out as if nothing happened. So, solid comeback right there from Eskin Gaming. They saved the tower. They got a couple of kills. And they only lost Pharaoh and Witch there, but yeah, still not sure what Dota was thinking right there. Are you there, Phil? Am I lagged or you?
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
That's
okay.
fine.
I muted my microphone.
Nice.
Probably the best casting I've done all night. No, it's one of those ultimates that really is a game changer, a team fight changer, and the fact that you use it on something so early on, something so trivial as just being able to get a tier 1 tower down when there is defense put up, just come back to that thing later on, when it's not being so heavily guarded, and finish it off with some auto attacks, or when you have creep support. Don't try to force things. That's the way you put yourself in a losing situation. I mean, arguably you could talk about, this is kind of the same thing what happened with Chu during the last game. After he got that portal key, he started playing really aggressively, and costed him a few deaths there, and a couple of those were picked up by Angry Testing and Pestilence, and granted, I'm sure that's not the only reason why EG ended up losing that epic game, but at the same time, the little things do add up over time.
Yeah, it's the thing we keep on reiterating because it is just so important. And you just talk about the small things. And as you said, going back to last game, what should have arguably been a loss perhaps for SK Gaming after that horrible 15-minute, 20-minute start early game. Just because the Legion team maybe didn't group up and push like they should have, maybe didn't team fight like they should have when got a little bit cocky perhaps, and well, allowed or helped SK stay in the game, and eventually SK, of course, turned it around 80 minutes later. We're able to come out victorious. So, but right now in this game, yeah, it's once again, as expected, a pretty back and forth. SK Gaming, though, they do have a 4,000 experience lead on top of that slight gold advantage as well. So definitely, looking to capitalize off that. Right now, Solskjaer just still free farming in the middle, not free farming, but sitting in the middle lane, farming what he can. Behemoth standing nearby. Speaking of Solskjaer, by the way, he's not going the quick portal key. He's got his steam boots on bottle and actually picks up a mighty blade. So obviously that leads you to believe going for a shrunken head against this Hellborn team matchup. Wouldn't be surprised if it is Icebrand, honestly, but probably Shrunken Head, as we see Swiftblade taking a little bit of harassment finally at the bottom lane, as Defiler is also here with Myrmidon, who was here, but Swiftblade going to fall back a little bit and wait for the creep wave. He did choose to go that Rune Dax, by the way. I believe you might have mentioned that, actually. I apologize if you did. But anyway, so he got the Rune Dax.
I didn't.
You didn't? Okay. Well, so he's got that, and now going to increase that much more. Still pretty much sitting on that 400 gold per minute, but of course we'll start increasing. Madman obviously has had his for a while too. Initiates on a Pharaoh right here, but Behemoth is nearby, and thankfully he was, because sets up a nice little fissure stun right there, and eventually helps Pharaoh get away, but Madman will go right back to farming, of course. And in the meantime, Myrmidon and Hellbringer, they're just doing what they do throughout this game, being a support, just creep pulling, stacking the camps, and getting them ready for either Defiler or Madman to just take out. Speaking of stacks, I believe these are still here from earlier, so Swiftblade has not taken advantage of these two stacked camps yet. Might want to do that soon, so they can kind of reset them and stack them once again, but still has stayed away from that, despite having the Rune Dax now. Kind of just running around, so despite it, again, being a very back-and-forth even game once again, not too much action, but I guess all three games have kind of been very similar. Maybe a little bit early action, but doesn't really have that crazy action, but it starts to pick up definitely mid to late game, of course. But right now we are just in the sit-back laning and farming phase. And, well, again, both team support players just doing the creep pulls. In fact, Myrmidon's literally living in the jungle. He's just sitting there next to this creep wave, or jungle creep, and keeps on stacking it.
Yeah, I would see Swiftblade kind of playing a little chicken there with Defiler down the bottom lane, eating a wave of death there, but I wasn't sure exactly who they had saved these creeps up for. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Soulstealer or Swiftblade, but one thing's for sure is that Swiftblade has now had his Rune Dax for about 3 minutes, and those could already be redouble stacked at least. So if Soulstealer's not going to come in and get those, then Swiftblade has got to get in there and get them, take the farm, increase his base farm, and then go from there.
We do have a lot of action, by the way, at the top lane. Madman already getting taken out. Solskjaer's ultimate on top of the Demon Hand. Drops Myrmidon right there. Hellbringer able to fall back after activating or using his ultimate. But now Solskjaer might be in a little bit of trouble. Here comes a Comet stun from Andromeda. The ultimate activated on Defiler. Looking to pick up some kills. Do the cleanup crew. Going to take out Witchslayer right here. But the Swift Slashes from Swiftblade. He's already level 2 ultimate. Level 13 right now. 5 bounces in total. Just annihilates Defiler right there. And nothing Hellbringer can do himself but just fall back. Malphite gets nuked down right there. And here we go. So Swiftblade coming in at pretty much the right time, kind of catching the Hellborn team off guard as they thought that they would have the advantage there. And now the tower is going to start dropping in favor of EG, of course, or SK, excuse me. And are they going to get in? They actually fall back. They just don't want to stay in there. They don't want to get caught by anything, and figure it's best to fall back. And it's in deny range now. A little bit surprising they didn't go for it, but it is easier for us, obviously, being the spectator. We can see the mini-map and everything, so they were suspicious that the Hellborn team is going to try to gank them. Chose to play it safe as, well, he kind of ran back in, but then he falls back once again. But Legion team did still get the tower kill, at least, and it was not denied by Myrmidon, so he's going to end up getting away. And back to farming once again, I'm sure, as him and Solskjaer are pretty much identical in farm, around the 445 gold per minute mark. You compare that to the Hellborn top farmers, they're around 320 gold per minute with Madman and Defiler. So SK, they are in a really good spot right now, and once again, pretty much going to have one of those games where it's going to come down to skill, honestly. It's not about who has the better heroes in this game, that's what I can see. It's really just about the skill, the team fights, and who initiates and what happens. But with that said, though, with that Shrunken Head finish on Soulstealer, now the Firebrand picked up. Portal Key on Behemoth, of course, is going to be huge, as it always is, and will be a nice setup tool for that Soul Stealer ultimate like we talked about earlier. But a 5-man push incoming here from SK Gaming. They're not going to let their foot off the pedal. They want to keep this pressure up. Can the Hellborn team make a stand? They do not have a Hellbringer ultimate, and without that, they lose a lot of their efficiency, of course. Oh, the Pharaoh ultimate just missing Myrmidon right there. Who cares, though? They get the tower kill, and they just fall on back.
Swiftblade has finished his Firebrand as well, so we'll see what he decides to add into. Frostburn is the obvious kind of go-to item with Swiftblade, but you never know. He might decide to switch it up and go for a Geometer's Bane. It's not unheard of. It would give him a good boost in both speed and damage, as well as some survivability. So definitely it would be a solid pickup for him. Regardless of which way it goes. But I mean, he's farming 465 gold per minute right now. Madman has currently finished his Steam Boost. He's had his Runed Axe. They got the Runed Axe about the same exact time. So Swiftblade doing a little bit better. A lot of that's got to be credit to having the additional hero kills, as well as the creep stacks that he's been able to farm here, and that he just actually finally cleaned up here at the jungle, as well as almost 100% uninterrupted farm at the bottom lane since about the 3-minute mark, 5-minute mark, I guess. So Swiftblade's sitting in a very, very pretty position right now. I do think that SK, while they don't need to overplay, they need to make sure, though, that they're keeping constant pressure up on this EG team, because it's like I said, I really give Madman a much better chance of carrying late game than I do Swiftblade. On the other hand, they do have that Soul Stealer to deal with as well. So Soul Stealer, a carry that excels so well when you have another kind of person to kind of take some of the heat off of you, that person being Swiftblade, so that way you're not being the only person focused down.
It's so fun watching Chu farm the jungle right here as Defiler. It goes back and forth within the camps and kind of stacking them up together, and then uses the Wave of Death on all of them. So doing quite a bit of damage, of course, and getting them fairly low. Right now, actually runs into Swiftblade, throws out a Wave of Death on him. He's like, hey, that's not a creep. I might want to run away here. As, of course, those flashes could have screwed him up pretty heavily once again. So he does fall back into the jungle. As he has a Storm Sphere, by the way, as said earlier. He definitely loves that item on Defiler. Great mana regen, but more so for the ultimate. While it's activated, of course, you use that, and you're invulnerable to everything for those 3 seconds or whatever where you're in the air. I believe it's 2.5 seconds, actually. Anyways, it's a good amount. So, in terms of other item pickups, Hellbringer, not too much. Let's go look at Pharaoh. He's done very nicely, again, for the situation. Very, very well. Portal Key on Behemoth. That's what we were talking about earlier. Huge there. Firebrand on Swiftblade, and Witchslayer being the ward base. They're going to push this top lane right here. Again, they're just keeping up the pressure. They're not going to allow EG to try to farm back like EG was able to do the second game, or excuse me, like SK was able to do the second game. They know what that mistake was. They did not want to allow that to happen. They're not going to fully push the tower, though. Oh, my God, look over here, though. Witchslayer actually catches Myrmidon as completely out of position right there, and ends up going down just by himself. So an easy pick-off for them, and Swiftblade says, well, why not try to take out the tower now? Going to sit on top of the tower. They are missing one hero, that being... who is that at the bottom? That's Pharaoh, so they don't have Pharaoh up there with them. But so pretty much makes it a 4 versus 4. Pharaoh, pretty big deal, though, so might not want to look to initiate right here, but if anything, be ready to fight if it comes to it. But they do have that Behemoth Portal Key, so they could maybe look to jump to Father right here, and could do a little bit of damage, but they're not going to. They fall back altogether, and why not? Why not, because you have this map advantage right now with the tower kills, currently 3 tower kills to the 2 of EG, although that secondary tower up top is really low, and... yeah, so, but why not sit back and pick up your farm? You're confident in that, and you are going up against a Madman once again. But it's not. Again, it's not. They're not too worried about him. He didn't have the most phenomenal early game, especially compared to the Swiftblade. Albeit his creep farm though is actually up there, pretty much on par. And Defiles as well. Like all the carry heroes, the big name players, Tralfamador, Angry Testy, B-Kid, and Chu, all doing a fantastic job of farming this game, being the great ricers that they are. And looking pretty good. So, once again, we're in the makings for yet another very entertaining, very even back and forth, skillful game.
Certainly not as fast as the last game was, where it just seemed like every time anyone talked, there was a kill going on. Chu was like sitting in the enemy well, shooting rockets at people at 6 minutes into the game or something crazy like that. The last game just was like it was so action packed the entire way through, and even when they were it seemed like they were just going to sit back and farm for a little bit, there was still constantly a lot of hero movement and possible ganks going on. But this game it has been a little bit slower this time around. But I think that each team are definitely playing to their strengths. That EG is trying to get that Madman as farmed up as possible. On the other hand, they need to. I think they need to take advantage of the push potential that they have between both Hellbringer and Defiler. I'm not saying that they need to necessarily force 5-on-5 team fights, but they definitely need to utilize the talents that they have on the heroes.
Well, for now, Madman is just going to push the bottom lane. He has that Mighty Blade now, so going for, again, I would guess a Shrunken Head in this case against this team, and the hero being the hero that he is, need to be involved in those team fights in the melee form, of course. So we'll see. But the Legion team, once again, pushing the top lane now, not relieving up the pressure. Geometer's being finished on Swiftblade, or excuse me, Soul Stealer. Swiftblade has his Frostburn finish. The tower's going to go down. Ooh, invulnerability used. Trying to delay them a little bit as much as they can, because they're going for a Kongor kill in the process. Rocket was launched this direction. Is it going to hit Kongor? Don't believe so. And, the Hellborn team might actually get this Kongor kill. Legion team, looks like they're somewhat aware. You figure if they're not defending a tower, it might be over here, but it's not going to be soon enough. Kongor goes down, and Madman picks it up. So, they did lose a tower, but, arguably worth it. So good job right there for EG. That's going to be huge for them, having that token of life on Madman. If they can get that Shrunken Head on him as well, they'll be feeling a lot more confident. But the Legion team, they're going to now keep pushing the middle lane in as soon as a creep wave comes up right here. Of course, Swiftblade leading the way in the front lines. Madman is kind of up there, feeling a little more confident now with that token of life he picked up. But the tower is still taking a good amount of damage, and Farrell using the illusions that he had to harass them a little bit. But everyone right now is pretty much in this middle lane. We do have a couple of players for SK back at the well, Andromeda being one of them. And Defiler actually heading back there herself. And whoa, Defiler actually gets an axe to the Malphite. Talk about an early axe. I was not expecting that whatsoever, but he wants that Behemoth's Heart as soon as possible. And, well, with the hard part done, he should be able to get it as soon as possible because of his great farm. So that is good news for EG, but they keep losing towers, which is bad news. It's now their 5th tower they've lost 28 minutes into the game. Oh, are they going to initiate? Nope, those were illusions, so they fall back. And back to farming once again. But so advantage is definitely in favor of SK Gaming because of those tower kills. It's going to be difficult, though, to push through because Defiler is such a good turtle hero, especially with the build she's going for with her very tankiness. And Hellbringer on top of that as well. Obviously, his ultimate very effective for that strategy. So it's going to be difficult once again to actually penetrate into the base and try to destroy those racks.
Well, yeah, Chu's only 600 gold away now from having that Behemoth's Heart finished. The Shrunken Head was picked up on Madman, so he's got the token of Ruined Axe, Shrunken Head, and Steam Boots. So he's ready to basically get in there and do as much damage as he possibly can. And only being at around the 30-minute mark, that's a very, very respectable amount of items and damage that he's going to be able to put out in a short amount of time. So about 183. Swiftblade currently sitting at 231 damage, so he's actually picked up an Abyssal Skull. So it's going to give him a little bit of a lifesteal, so adding into the survivability that he has right there. We'll have to see what he decides to do as far as with that Frostburn, if he decides to split it up like a lot of range carries do. I mean, it's not totally unheard of if he decides to go for something maybe like a Savage Mace. That would make a lot of sense, just kind of trying to increase, both attack speed and damage. But it looks like there's trouble a brewing here at the bottom lane, so we'll have to see if anything happens.
Oh, something is going to happen. He opens right up. Farrell misses the ult. It doesn't matter, though. Easy nuke down, and Swift Slashes from Swiftblade tears up Hellbringer. Hellbringer. So 2 players dead, just like that, in favor of SK Gaming, including Hellbringer. I cannot stress that enough. If SK or Fiji does not have that Hellbringer ultimate to use, they lose so much in those team fights, especially with this team that they're going up against. Fisherton hitting Defiler, but on the wrong side, do not trap her, and she's going to be able to run away. But now SK Gaming, they're going to make their really aggressive push. If any time, this is a time to try to break into the base. 20-second resurrection timer on Hellbringer, but no, they're probably not going to do so. And by the time they actually start playing the pressure, Hellbringer will be out very shortly. So it's probably best to do a little bit of damage here, then look to fall back, because if they do go up against that Hellbringer ultimate, it can be pretty deadly for them. So they definitely realize that, see the resurrection coming up, and they decide to play it safe and fall back. Again, it is going to be very difficult for them to break through. They need opportunities like that to capitalize on. Either getting kills on Defiler, Madman, or Hellbringer are the really 3 that if they get a kill on either one of those heroes, definitely should look to try to push aggressively after that. But they tried right there. There's just not enough resurrection timer at this point. He's still only level 11, so very little. Soulstiller's on the run right here as Hellbringer team trying to catch him, but now he's going to use the illusions to push them back and kind of catch them off guard. And, well, that's going to be that. So, as you talked about earlier, really this has, and hero kills especially, I mean, we only have 17 hero kills total, at least according to my scoreboard. Well, now 30-plus minutes in the game, so very, very low on the hero kills. Only 5 in total for EG. That's just wow. But still, even game, and definitely it's entertaining in its own way. You don't necessarily need hero kills, of course, to be a very entertaining game. It's entertaining in the sense that it's unpredictable. I mean, both teams, they have the chance. It's just who can capitalize better. Behemoth's Heart has been finished on Defiler. He's going up here to the top lane to harass Soulstealer a little bit, and Soulstealer just runs away immediately. So, but damn, Defiler already 2,000 plus life, and obviously it also reduces the cooldowns by 15% of her abilities, including that ultimate, which is now an 85-second cooldown. So it's good, but is it going to be enough now is a question. Madman, no doubt, another big focus. He has had that Shrunken Head finish, and he's still sitting with that Token of Life for 5 minutes. So now this is where does EG look to really capitalize with that Token of Life? Are they going to look to play aggressive themselves and make some tower pushes? I really think that they should look to do so, or else SK is just going to keep them on their toes, and they're going to keep making them play defense and it really hurt their farm in that sense. But they're trying to push the top lane a little bit here. Port in from Swiftblade, however, scares off the initial push at least, but Defiler's hanging by. He needs to be worried about the Swift Slashes. All of them would bounce him right here. Swiftblade though turns around, realizing that it's probably bait right there. He's trying to get away. He gets trapped though. Oh, but he gets the Swift Slashes off, but he gets stunned, however. He is stunned. I don't know what happened. He did not get the Swift Slashes off. In fact, Behemoth jumps into it with the ultimate, and look at that. Players dropping left and right for both teams. Lives getting low, but Defiler's ultimate did enough to scare them off. Soulstealer not going to have any of that. As did Soulstealer even die? I'm so confused what just happened there. Soulstealer, no, he ported in late, so he wasn't even there for that. He was actually busy killing a tower. And now he's coming in to try to make a little bit of fight back here. Swiftblade bought back. He's back into the team fight. What can he do? They're chasing. Defiler's ultimate is now gone. This is where the Hellpoint team definitely wants to run, and that they will do. So they did not get a tower, though, but they did get a couple of hero kills, and 3 hero kills as Swiftblade also died. But that was really interesting, though. That was, I don't know what that was, but he definitely teleported, but the Swift Flashes did not go on cooldown. So kind of unfortunate, but at the same sense, at least it didn't go on cooldown.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the thing about, especially about the ghost, or not the ghost launchers, but the storm spirit, is that, you know, it is a good counter to that Swift Slashes, because, you know, if you get caught in a solo situation 1-on-1 against Swiftblade, he starts using that Swift Slashes. You use that storm spirit on yourself, and it just cancels Swiftblade's ultimate immediately. So they got to be real careful about, you know, the situations that they use that in, and it basically makes it have to be in a team fight, at least when it's in a 1-on-1 situation against a hero like Defiler. A lot of these other ones, you talk about like Hellbringer and Andromeda, and well, that's really it, because Madman has the invisibility escape mechanism, and Myrmidon has the waveform. So if you get a maximum length waveform, you know, you'll be able to get out of the range of that Swift Slashes. So there's definitely, I believe, I'm pretty sure I'm right. So, you know, he definitely has to pick and choose his targets to either use that in a team fight or use it to solo down that Hellbringer or Andromeda.
Oh, by the way, Solskjaer's busy doing his 544 goal per minute, and oh, by the way, he now has a Frostwolf skull. He literally went from nothing to that, so yeah, Angry Tessie is really scary now. I talked about this very early on in the game, how that's a very useful item against a Madman, and even, especially at this point where he isn't really all too greatly farmed, especially compared to Soul Stealer and even Swiftblade. You know, he did pick up his Whispering Helm, but he's going to activate that ultimate. Will definitely attack fast. He's got the crits, of course, from his Gash ability. But that Frosted Skull will slow him down quite a bit, especially with that attack speed. And that's the idea behind it, of course, as well as just the life and the damage and everything else. So Soul Stealer is very dangerous right now. Swiftblade, I'm sure he's going to be very dangerous in the near future as well, as he's been sitting on that Frostburn. He picked up that Abyssal Skull lately as well. And will more than likely split up that Frostburn, I'm sure. Maybe even get a Frosted Skull himself. But for now, SK Gaming, like they should be, they once again are just making sure EG does not get the opportunity of pushing a tower. I mean, again, I talked about this earlier with the Defy their ultimate. Yeah, ideally you would love to use it to push towers, get the tower kills, go from there. But that's the thing. If you use it to push a tower, it's obviously going to be on the 85-second cooldown, and then she will not have it for the team fight that may be upcoming. If you don't have that Defy their ultimate, it's it hurts your team a lot, of course, and you miss out on quite a bit of damage. So it's a big reason for picking up that hero, especially in the first place. So it's kind of it's a give and take, double-edged sword type deal. Do you use it to push the towers, or do you use it for the team fights? You have to use it wisely. And well, SK Gaming has done a good job of making him scared, really, and really making him save it for a lot of these team fights. Meanwhile, at the top lane, Behemoth jumps in onto Defy. The Defy is going to start dropping right here. Can they take him out before? Yes, they can. That is huge right there for SK Gaming. Could even be game-breaking to the point of a win right here. Cardinal going to try to survive after that swap. He's not going to be successful, though. Swift Slash is jumping in, and Madman is dropping low. He is really low. He has that Shuriken activated. He's just trying to take this damage. He takes out the illusions. Not going to matter, though. He dies right there. And, of course, he resurrects right back with the Token of Life. But the father does buy back as well. She activates her ultimate, comes right back into this. So now Barrel's on the run. Not going to be nearly enough, though. He's going to end up getting caught out right there. And, well, in the end, 3 players end up dying for the Legion side. So that ended up not being nearly as bad for EG as I expected, although Defy did have to use a buyback, but hey, he used a buyback, saved the tower push, and also got a couple of kills in the process. Apparently they didn't realize that he had a token of life, aka Aegis. So of course that was used right there, and Kongor should be up in the next couple of minutes, I believe. Yep, there we go. Literally looking at it, scroll my mouse over, and sure enough he spawns. And Hellborn team very aware of that. They're going to go for a quick Kongor attempt here. It looks like Swiftblade may have been heading over that area, but no. So this is going to be perhaps another Ninja Kongor right here. Legion team porting down there, though. I think they have the idea, but Swiftblade wants his backup before he charges in. Of course, he doesn't have his ultimate, so he'd be pretty vulnerable other than the spin. So he can definitely not go in by himself without that ultimate. Kongor dropping a bit under half life right now, and it doesn't look like the Legion team is going to react fast enough. This is going to be another kill for the Hellborn side. And Madman, once again, will get another token of life. So, proved to be big for them last fight. I'm sure it'll be big next fight.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what Swiftblade decides to go here. He's got almost 3,000 gold saved up. I'd really like to see a Shrunken Head. I think that now that we're starting to get into the end of the mid-game, I mean, we're only at 38 minutes, but he needs to be able to be mobile, similar to Madman in those team fights. You talk about, oh, well, he's got the spin. Well, the spin really neuters the amount of damage he can put out because, it gets to a point where, it only, granted, it does 700 magic damage over the course of 5 seconds, but you're going to be able to do, twice that much, or 3 times that much in physical damage if you're actually just getting auto attacks off. So I would like to see, plus it increases his survivability. So it looks like he actually picks up a Dancing Blade here, so he's going to be going for a wing bow. But I mean, I would really like to see the Shrunken Head on him. I think it could really help with especially because they have heroes like Andromeda and just Hellbringer. In general, Shrunken item is never a bad item to go for, even on a hero that already has magic immunity.
Oh yeah, I mean I've definitely seen it before on both Predator and Swiftblade as being a valuable pickup, especially against magic heavy / CC teams. I don't know. It's a tough say though, because obviously it would prevent a decent amount of CC, but in terms of damage, you're not preventing a whole lot, and obviously that comes down to Defyder's ultimate as well as Madman's just straight up physical. Speaking of Madman, by the way, he picks up a Axe of the Malphite himself, so wow. It looks like he's going to be going for his own Behemoth Shard. Yoda just disconnected right there, so I'm sure we will see a pause come out very shortly from EG if hopefully soon. I mean,
It'll be a symbol of rage on Madman.
or yeah, that's right. I was focused on that pause or the log out disconnect, but yeah, you're right. Obviously, it'd be a similar rage. I just straight thought Behemoth's Heart, but yeah, similar rage. Seeing that he has a Whispering Helm, so that makes a little bit more sense. Although Behemoth's Heart isn't horrible. I mean, obviously, 15% more damage, nice life boost. But yeah, similar rage with that attack speed he has. Going to be relying quite a bit on that. So the pause goes through right there. Now we just need to wait for Yoda to reconnect once again. He was having a lot of latency issues in Game 1. Looks like it might be back. But looking more at items. Astrolabe has been on helping her for a while now. Talbot a command on Myrmidon. And who else? There was Defiler. What's she doing? She's now got that plate mail, so you're talking about Frostfield plate. Would be effective. Could be demonic. Definitely have seen that before. You got Swiftblade.
I think it would be a Frostfield.
Yeah, probably.
Against Swiftblade, who doesn't have like the attack speed modifier like Madman does. I mean, that's going to be even more useful against him, especially. I mean, Angry Testy as well, but Pharaoh is kind of who I've been really watching here. I mean, he's picked up his barbed armor, which obviously makes him very, very good at initiating. Unfortunately, Fogged has not been hitting the ultimates as well as he should be in a lot of these team fights, or at least I think we've seen 2 or 3 missed hooks now from him. So he needs to be definitely hitting those. I mean, you can't, when you're playing a great initiator like Pharaoh, you can't really afford to miss those long-range initiations to help get your team into better position. But with the Glowstone, looks like he'll probably be going for a Staff of the Master soon.
Oh yeah, I mean, that is a good point. It's, again, Fog by all means a very good player. Is really everyone in this game is a very good player. Definitely top-tier competition, but yeah, he definitely has missed a couple of ultimates that have been pretty noticeable, and like you said, you got to land those. That's why you pick up that hero, not fully why, but a big part of why, of course, is ultimate, and landing those sets up a lot of great things for you. So hopefully, as the game progresses, and as you suggested, perhaps Staff of the Master being worked on him definitely makes the cooldown of his ultimate a lot less. It goes down to 20 seconds from 60. So yeah, you can use it 3 times in the time you could use 1 before. Yoda is reconnecting right now, so that's good news. As far as the rest of Legion players, there was that. Soul Slayer, of course, he's just doing his thing. Could even just be saving for buyback at this point, but he could use 1 more slot, perhaps to get rid of the bottle or something like that, and or even the Homecoming Stone, and get something else, perhaps a Wingbow himself. Definitely useful against a Madman. But yeah, Madman will be finishing that similar rage soon, as you suggested. And that will be great for him. As we saw him last fight, I mean, he was trying his best to tank the damage by just auto-attacking. That's what he has to do, obviously. Especially with his stock being down, there's really no point to try to run. Just wasn't enough, though, but with that similar rage will help a lot more, especially if he gets those crits. Yoda has reconnected. Come on, let's go. So everyone say go! And let's start this up once again. Oh, man. This series has taken forever. It's been so good, though. But it's just taking forever.
Yeah, it's approaching the 5 a.m. mark over here, so
yeah,
it's been about 4.5 hours of epic gameplay here in the GosuGamers Losers Bracket Grand Finals.
There we go.
Losers Bracket Finals.
Losers Bracket Finals, yeah. That it is. Again, this is the Losers Bracket Finals for the GosuGamers World Cup. Winner of this plays Fnatic MSI in the Grand Finals. There's $10,000 first place prize in line, $5,000 for second place, and the loser of this will get their $3,000 for finishing third place. We see some counter awarding going on currently from SK Gaming. They're at the bottom lane. So SK, again, definitely has an advantage here, looking pretty good, but we said that several times throughout this whole series, and yeah, so should probably just stop saying that altogether and just wait and see what happens. Well, top tower push, though, or top lane push at least, coming in from the Hellborn side. They're going to push this top tower, the first one. So finally going to get that down. That'll be the 3rd tower kill of the game. So it has taken them a while to get all the initial towers down, especially with a hero like Defiler. Talking about that earlier, just a lot of good pressure from SK Gaming, but in the process, SK doing a little bit of a push themselves. Kind of unsure if they want to keep pushing right here, it looks like. They're kind of scattering around maybe seeing if one of the Hellborn players kind of peeks out a little bit, trying to see if they're still there. But Hellbringer's the only one to port back. He's just going to defend the tower a little bit. And the Legion players, they'll just all fall back together. So they're not looking to overextend. Again, it is going to be very difficult for them to actually break into the base. And at this point, they probably want to make sure that they're fully farmed, because they can definitely afford that luxury of sitting back and getting that before they look to push into it. So Swiftblade wants to finish his Wingbow, of course. And then there's Soulstooter, who, again, not too sure what he's working on, but he does have 4,200 plus gold saved up. Could be buybacks, could be something big. He did just straight up buy a Frostos Skull last time, so who knows. But he's sitting in the jungle for the meantime. Then a Staff of Master would be a nice luxury item as well on Pharaoh to have for the fights. Behemoth, he's pretty much set, obviously, with that portal key. But he doesn't have... Oh, he doesn't... Well, I almost said he didn't have boots, but he does have Striders. So used to seeing red boots. But yeah, so he's got that. But then, of course, because they're sitting back farm, there is always the other team getting their items, and that starts with Madman, going to be finishing that similar rage very soon, if not already. Might be going back to get it right now with the Courier. There's an Acolyte Staff as well on the Courier, which belongs to Chu. So he's going to be finishing that Frostfield plate soon. So everyone is getting their big, nice little mid to late game items here. And that's going to be huge, but... And so it's just going to come down to, can SK Gaming break through? If it's a 5 versus 5, like I said earlier, going into it with cooldowns and everything, I really see EG being able to hold it off with Defiler, with Hellbringer, Madman throwing out all the damage. But if they're able to pick people off, pick one or two, as I said, the trio of Hellbringer, Defiler, or Madman, if they pick up one of those three heroes, I really think then that's where they need to look to push. So it's all about getting them an opportunity, having Feral land a nice hook, ganking somebody, and then going from there. But I don't think that they can bang their head against the wall and just try to go for a straight-up push.
Ooh, DD and Invis on Soulstooter right now. We could possibly be looking at a pretty big team fight about to come up here. This is definitely an opportunity they'd want to take advantage of it.
Well, they're pushing up a little bit right here. Soulstooter currently Invis. As you said, he has that with the double damage Invis, hitting very hard. Are they going to open with it, despite it being a 5 versus 5? Yeah, it's tough. And again, it's... Even though they had those runes activated, it would be a good amount of damage from him. It's just so difficult actually breaking through. And it looks like, yet again, they're going to just clean up the Legion, or the Hellborn jungle, and just have the Hellborn side turtle themselves in their base, pretty much, cleaning out the creep wave. Chu kind of pushing out a little bit right here. Definitely needs to be... I mean, that's the thing. You got to always be worried if you're pushing out even a little bit like that, because the Pharaoh ultimate comes out of nowhere, lands in you, or a Behemoth jumps out of nowhere, he starts stunning you. It can get dangerous. But he does have that Storm Spirit, at least, for reasons like that, of course. Buy the time for his team to come help him if need be. But in the end, the Legion team cleans up the jungle, and then they yet again fall back to the middle lane. So play critting like crazy. He's finished that Wingbow, of course.
Yeah, Symbol of Rage pattern is on the Courier right now, so just waiting until he actually needs it, in a team fight before he decides to turn the Whispering Helm over. I mean, we've seen him use it to dominate creeps and whatnot, so gonna wait until he absolutely needs to lose the usefulness of the creep domination before he decides to actually turn that into the symbol. So does have that going for him. I think you mentioned that the Frostfield plate was finished on Defiler. Hellbringer, he's actually finished his tablet command to go with that Astrolabe and is working on a level 1 puzzle box right now. Swiftblade has finished his Wingbow. Pharaoh has finished a puzzle box of his own, level 1 right now. Actually, action...
Yeah, they do jump in right there. Hellbringer's going to use the ultimate, trying to save his teammate, not nearly in time, though, as Andromeda already picked off, and Hellbringer just gets annihilated. So, again, it's a couple times now we've seen Dodo just use that ultimate at not the greatest times, and now they do not have that cooldown to use, and this is where, once again, SK Gaming, they're going to push, because they should. Without that Hellbringer ultimate, they lose so much in SK Gaming's team in terms of, or in EG in terms of their turtle presence. They, of course, still do have Defiler, but SK not nearly as concerned. They're going to start pushing the tower now. We see Swiftblade start spinning out of that initial wave, or Weed Field. The tower's going to drop really fast. A double damage on Soul Stealer and get it down so fast. Swift Slash is going to be using it. Jumps into it. Behemoth comes in as well, trying to finish Defiler right here. She hasn't even used her ultimate. Not going to be able to. Down she goes. The tower is cleaned up, and SK Gaming, this is huge for them right now. Soul Stealer trying to pick off Pharaoh. He will be successful with that, but at what cost right there? Oh, what a swamp! I've been dropping a not going to matter though. Down he goes. He will resurrect, of course, because of the token of life. Defiler bought back, came back in, activated her ultimate. Is doing a little bit of damage here to Swiftblade and Soul Stealer. Swiftblade getting slowed a little bit, but he's going to spin out of it and going to be fine. So they got the tower kill, but at least the Rax survived. So in the end, good stand by each. Yeah, this series has just been all about buybacks. It's ridiculous. I mean, this has to be the most buybacks we've ever seen in a series. I mean, game 2 alone, there's like 30 buybacks between the two teams. We've had several in game 1, and now once again 5 or 6 here in game 3. It's just it's just crazy, and it kind of does make you think of the whole recent change in Dota, where I believe it was either a limit or a cooldown on the buyback. I think it was a cooldown on the buyback of like 10 minutes or something.
I think it's like 5 minutes.
Something like that.
Cooldown. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know that it really needs to be instituted in Han.
After seeing this series, I would tend to agree with you. It's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, I think the last game that we saw that was even similar as far as buybacks are concerned was, once again, Druids versus MSI at DreamHack Summer, game 2, where Trixie was playing that Forsaken Archer, and there was probably he must have bought back like 7 times in a row there, and they eventually came out winning, but it was just a really, really epic series. So this series, though, I mean, this is I don't know, it's impossible to compare the two, because this is just, I mean, the gameplay for competitive Han has come so far, and where we're at right now with these two teams, I mean, this is just some of the most impressive play from both teams that we've seen in a long time.
Oh, this is going to be fun right here. Legion team going for a quick Kongor kill. Hellborn team knows they're going to come in at the last second. He cannot get there in time. Hellborn ultimate goes off, though. Can they kill Kongor? Yes, they can. Soul Stealer picks up the token of life, and we have action over here now. Myrmidon completely cut off. Down he goes. Ultimate activated by Defiler, but she was not able to be too involved in that fight because of that great fissure stun from B-Kid right there, or Cardinal, excuse me, from SK Gaming. And so the token of life on Soul Stealer. The Defiler ultimate is down. The Hellbringer ultimate is down. This is where SK Gaming can really capitalize and really finish this game. They're going to try to take out the middle racks right here. There goes the stun coming out. The Defiler ultimate will deactivate in a matter of a couple of seconds, I'm sure. And then as soon as that goes down, though, it looks very aggressive. In fact, there we go. The ultimate is now down. Madman kind of barrel rolls in, trying to make something happen. Harass him a little bit, but now they're focusing the melee racks. It's dropping fast as another kill just happened, in fact, as on Andromeda got picked off there by Trafalmador. Uses Swift Slashes to do so. By the way, has Bananas as well. Down goes a ranged Rax. Ultimate from Behemoth, spinning on top of Defiler. Down goes Defiler. Down goes Hellbringer. And we might be seeing a GG soon, and SK Gaming could very likely be on their way to the GosuGamers World Cup Grand Finale. Wow, who saw this coming? Well, about 34% of the Han community did. I guess I'll say that much. Yeah, they... This is impressive. After just an epic game 2, just back and forth, they take game 2 in the end, forcing a game 3. And they have really, although not necessarily dominating this game, they have been ahead pretty much all throughout this game and have not allowed the Hellborn team to make a comeback. They were about to take out the bottom defensive tower, but they decided to stop.
Creeps actually left.
Yeah.
Like, they'd all died, and they didn't want to get, disqualified for, something stupid like
that would suck.
Backdooring, a base tower, just because they lost the creep support. All the creeps eventually made their way back into the base. But, yeah, an unfortunate circumstance. I mean, I think most people would agree, once the creeps go into the base, if you enter with the creeps, it doesn't matter if they leave. Once you're in there with them to begin with, it's all gravy.
Well, who cares now? I mean, you're going with the creeper this time. They take out the melee racks. Their range racks dropping really fast. It's It's EG. Of course, they're hanging in there. This is all or nothing. Why not try to hang in there, see what you can make happen? But Miramadon gets taken out. Swiftplay locked down right here. He's actually going to end up to run. Oh, Bananas used, and he turns it around right on top of Madman. Takes out Madman. Angry Testia, double tap kill. And EG is just hanging by a thread now. Will they call the concede? Will they let it finish, actually? We'll have to wait and see. Silver Bullet used. Pharaoh jumps into the party. He's going to try to drop Defiler right here. That's a dangerous spot, though. But Defiler is dropping fast. Activates a Storm Spirit. Might it be enough to save her? It looks like it is. A Helping Ultimate comes out, actually taking out Pharaoh right there. But Swiftblade spins on top of everyone. He's taking a lot of damage, though. Behemoth is actually going to go down. Swiftblade wants to kill Andromeda, at least. Gets a kill on her. But now Swiftblade is just on the run. He's going to kill as many towers as possible before he goes down. That he does. I'm sure he's just going to buy back anyways. As he did have his ult, but might as well save it for when they buy back and go back to the base. Probably going to be post-haste here or something. No, he doesn't. Anyways, he's just going to clean up. But yeah, EG, so they're not conceding, but their middle and bottom is completely cleared out now. Their defensive towers at the shrine have already started to take damage. Wow, SK, they must be feeling good right now. As late as it is for some of these players, early in the morning, you should even say 3, 4 a.m., whatever it is, 5 a.m. They're feeling good. They're guaranteeing themselves at least $2,000 more from a third to second place finish and a chance to compete for that $10,000 first place.
Yeah, I called it, you know. I actually thought they were going to win 2-0 against EG. I think SK right now is the better team because they play together more. You know, obviously my personal opinion, but I'm not going to say it's over yet because we're talking about EG here. You know, they're a team that makes things happen and makes something out of nothing at times. And, you know, you really just have to say that SK, you know, and EG, regardless of who wins here, both have played absolutely amazing games in this series.
We've reiterated so much, especially through Game 2, that this will go down as one of the best, if not the best, Han series ever to be played, at least casted here by HanCast, whatever for GosuGamers or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, we do have initiation down here, perhaps the last team fight coming up. There we go, Madman activates the Juggernaut. Soul Stealer jumps in, he's going to finally get his ultimate off. Defiler has hers activated, using the Storm Spirit, trying to prevent a lot of damage. It does so, now using the Frost Ember, just trying to run away at this point. He just has to keep being on the run. Madman gets taken out in the process. Miramadon just evaporates, and after seeing that, it's just, I pretty much think we can safely say SK Gaming will be your losers bracket champions, and they will be facing Fnatic MSI in the grand finale. And look at that, a little bit of trash talk going on. Gotta love it. Of course, they're referring to Chu pregame. In a pregame interview with GosuGamers, he was saying they were 1,600% confident that they would win this series. Obviously, it's jokes, and even this is everyone's just joking around, but gotta love that. What a rivalry. I'm so happy because, again, this has to be one of the best rivalries ever for Han. The classic 5 versus WeHeart Pigs. Not all the same rosters, of course, but the same team setups in general. And to have just such an epic series. It is finally over. SK Gaming is going to the grand finale. They will play Fnatic MSI to see who will be crowned your GosuGamers World Cup champions. $10,000 for first place, $5,000 for second place. We'll keep you updated on when that is going to happen. But SK Gaming, congratulations to them. EG will finish third. They will take home at least a $3,000 prize pool, so definitely not too shabby itself. I'm sure they are disappointed, however, as no doubt not only themselves but a lot of the community were expecting the EG versus MSI rematch finals. Not going to be the case, though. It's going to be SK versus MSI.
Oh.
Pretty much.
What a great series. 5 hours later, after we start casting, we get to witness one of, if not the best, Heroes of New Earth competitive series of all time. I mean, props have got to go out to both teams, but real props got to go out to SK Gaming. A lot of people, for a long time, you know, questioned whether or not they deserved the sponsorship that they got. They fought through just a ton of really crappy situations, and now they're going to find themselves going up against the current kings of the world right now. You know, they're going to find themselves going up against Fnatic MSI, who is arguably, well, not even arguably, they are, you know, far and away the number one team in the world right now. So there's going to be a lot riding on this next game, and you know, the only thing we can do is, you know, say congratulations to EG on making it this far, and wish SK the best of luck against Fnatic MSI. MVP has got to go to Tralfamador, my opinion. I mean, I kept mentioning him. You know, he's not like my friend or anything like that, but I just have to say that the guy, he did work. You know, he came in and played at the highest level in every hero that he played against some of the best players in the world. And when it comes down to it, you know, that's the kind of performance that you just really have to respect. So SK, they just played completely amazing tonight. So awesome performance by both teams, and awesome job by SK.
Yeah, definitely don't take anything away from SK's performance. They deserve this victory tonight. They are the winners of the series, hands down. I don't care what you say, whether, EG made some mistakes. Yeah, Dota didn't land the greatest ultimate sometimes. No, there's no excuses. I mean, that's just how the games are played, and SK definitely just played a hell of a series, and they deserve to face MSI in the grand finals. In terms of MVP, if I had to pick an MVP personally, I know it's a high-name player, but Angry Testy. I mean, game one, he frankly did awful. He didn't do too well. I believe he was playing Chipper. He wasn't having that great of a game. He didn't do too well against two in the middle. You know, it just really wasn't working out for him. Game two, it has a horrible start on Pestilence. It looked like we were going to have a quick game two. EG was going to be victorious, and they would be in the finals to face MSI. Angry Testy and SK Gaming, they rallied together. I don't know what they said in Vent, but I would be curious to hear how Vent was like at that point. Something happened, something clicked, and all of a sudden, Portakey was picked up on Pestilence. They turned that game around completely, 180 degrees, and they ended up winning 80 minutes into the game finally. And then here in Game 3, I mean, the numbers explain itself. He finished with 660 gold per minute. He had over 459 creep kills. I mean, look at his items, just the damage he output in this game. It was amazing. So, congratulations to SK Gaming, all very deserving, and they are your champions, or not your champions, they're the losers bracket champions, but MSI, they are the world champions right now, you could say. It's going to be a tough challenge, but I'll say this much, it's going to be a hell of a series. SK has proven that they are worthy of competing against them with this series here. So congratulations though again to EG for getting this far, and of course taking home the third place prize. Again, I'm sure they're disappointed now, as any team would be, every right to be, but in the end, not too bad. Good amount of money made. That's going to do it, though. Again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Really do appreciate it. Whether it's morning for you, or afternoon, evening, or early in the morning here at 2:11 my time, 5:11 for you, Phil. Awesome that it's finished. It was a hell of a series, a lot of fun, and it was worth the cast. So, and as always, guys, stay tuned to honcast.com for much more coverage. Also, of course, check out GosuGamers.net/hon. They have a great section over there. They got a lot of awesome articles. They got a poll going on right now. The top players, the top teams, and everything of the year 2010. So check that out. Have fun. The finals, MSI versus SK. We'll get a word on that as soon as possible once the teams figure out a schedule, and we will be looking to cover it, of course. So stay tuned for that. As far as tonight, we are done. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good night.